Yes, 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 yes. He's like the lady from Powerpuff Girls.
I'll make my neck look really long.
We should do it like that and never show you on my channel.
I'll just be like...
That'd be so funny, right? Yeah.
You already showed me on your channel. It's recording already.
So do you want to show your head or not? You can do what you please.
Wow, I really thought I was going down and I really thought my forehead was going to stop. But look how it keeps going.
No, Vanessa.
In total.
You have all 24 hours to watch that.
And we have a whole 2 hours to do that.
I'm gonna take off my shoes. If they smell, let me know. I already watched this. I heard this already.
Oh, they should make hoodies that are triangles.
I could do
Bye.
trapezoids.
Like flat, angled flat.
Yeah.
Frame on the face.
I had a friend. I was like, if you had a clothing store, what would you call it? She was like, everything has pockets. We're just waiting for Vanessa.
I don't have my drink. I don't have my pinkity drinking.
Oh, you did not. All of the sisters out there are gonna go out for you. Pinkity drinkities.
Water.
Peach. Peachity chichity. Peachity. Hello everybody, I'm back and I'm not by myself this time. Ta-da!
My name's Vanessa. I'm the most attractive in the family.
I beg to differ.
Junior.
Oh my god, you scared me.
Look at the leaves. Yeah, I didn't see them. They were literally flying up.
It's
They flew up and then over the house.
like Bird Box.
I've never seen that.
Um,
Okay, introduce him.
I took them in.
I almost smacked your head.
Family calls me Junior. My name's Gerardo. Gerardo. Gerardo.
Give him your social too.
Gerardo.
Gerardo.
Angelica.
Vanessa.
Angelica. Okay.
No.
I'm her brother.
No. Vanessa.
So we're just gonna sit down and tell you guys a story. It's not a very fortunate story, but it's something that happened to us like 1 hour ago. So it's just gonna be very genuine and very just kind of sit down, kind of relax yourself.
we were just eating, and so it just happened. So I am just digesting.
Oh. Okay, with any good story, you have the who, what, when, where, why, how.
Who, what, when, where, why. 5.
Who? It was all of us, plus my mother. We had gone to IKEA today, and then we went to go eat. That was my first time at
It's my
IKEA.
first time at IKEA.
Fun fact. I was a little bit hangry, so I didn't have the greatest time. Moving on. Define hangry.
Hungrily angry. We were hungry.
Angrily hungry. Anyways,
Either one.
we got in the car.
Sounds
We wanted
aggressive.
to get something to eat, and she was like, "I want a soup and salad."
I low-key wanted Olive Garden. Like, I was hinting at it. I was like, you know, soup, salad, and obviously the first thing that pops up to your head, Olive Garden.
And I said, you know what? Why don't we go to an Italian place? And then everybody was like, wow, Vanessa, that's such a great idea. And I said, yeah.
That's
Plus
after
it has-
I had suggested Olive Garden, which nobody heard.
Plus, I said,
No one
and it
said
has,
wow.
And it has soup.
Nobody even knew Vanessa was
No,
there.
yeah, she was like, did nobody hear me say no Asian food? And we were like,
No.
So 2 out of the 4 of us were not heard.
Huh?
That means we don't listen to one
I
another.
didn't
Half
understand- I didn't
half
understand
of
what
the
you just
family's
said.
not listening, and half of
I
the
tuned
family
you out
is
on that
not
one.
doing- This is what I'm talking about. Anyways, so I said Italian. They were very happy, you know. And then he interrupted and he said Olive Garden.
And of course, when he says anything, my mom is totally for it. So he said Olive Garden. My mom was like, okay, search up an Olive Garden. Next thing you knew, we were going to an Olive Garden. So we got to our booth and then we sit down, and next to our booth, there is this couple. Should we give descriptions?
I mean, you guys might run into them.
So if you see a lady with brown hair and a white man with a bald head, that's it. That's them.
You
Attack!
can't miss them. Get them. Get them for us. Arrest them. So Vanessa has a thing where she kind of like...
I like food.
She likes things to go
According
planned.
to plan.
Yeah. Usually something bad will happen, like she gets the wrong order, they give her one side of something instead of two sides when she asked for two, they get the wrong drink, I don't know, she drops her corn on the floor at Luby's.
True story.
Sit
She
and
like
eat it.
loses her appetite though, and
Yeah.
she wears her upsetness on her face, and you're just like, well, there goes my dinner.
Yeah, and she just kind of ruins it for herself. She's like,
Yeah.
oh, I dropped my corn. That's the only thing I was looking forward to. Oh, they got my order wrong. I'm not going to eat this, even though it looks delicious.
Oh, they don't respect me.
They're exaggerating.
They are.
When I dropped my corn at Luby's, it fell on the carpet. And I was like, oh man, that's the only thing I was really looking forward to because I hadn't had corn in a while. And it fell on the carpet, and this one's like, why don't you just pick it up and eat it? And I'm like, what? My corn just touched the floor.
I said the same thing. I was just I was just praying that we could just bring that corn back to life, because I know how upset she gets whenever, especially food, when it doesn't go her way. So anyways, we sat down. Oh. Junior.
Oh, and then, right. We were talking to her about that. And
You see his fingers? They're like pointing different directions.
I was like, hey, can I tell you something? And she was like, yeah. And I told her, well, something bad's going to happen. Like in dinner. Something always happens. Someone gets the wrong order, blah, blah, blah. And I told her, just don't get upset. Don't make a big deal about it. It's a thing that I dread. Like when I go out to dinner, I'm just like waiting for the moment something happens with Vanessa's food.
With her food.
Mm-hmm. And so I was like, something bad's going to happen. Just don't make a big deal out of it.
She was like, okay.
And so we got through that conversation, and then we started having dinner like normal because it was good. Everything was good. Everything tasted great.
For me, while we were sitting there just like drinking our drinks and kind of eating our food, I got this weird vibe from them. First of all, I looked at what they were eating, because obviously they're right next to you. You just can't help but to look over, right?
I didn't.
And like listen to their conversation every once in a while. I noticed that each one of them had gotten like 3 or 4 drinks. That
Like
they were,
drinks.
Yeah, like
alcohol.
Yeah. So I was like, oh wow, their tab is gonna be pretty big, right? They ordered some coffee, and then they ordered some cheesecake. So I was like, wow, they're having a really nice time. They look like a nice couple, but for me, while I was drinking my drink, I would kind of face them a little bit. And the lady, the woman, she like turned and looked at me, like made like hard eye contact. There you go. And I was just like a little frazzled, right? And then I did it again, and I drank again, and then the man, both of them.
The man.
Right? I don't know. I just felt a little weird about it, right? And they were having just very casual conversations, talking about their day, and she was talking about how she wanted cheesecake, and so he ordered the cheesecake. Did you guys notice anything weird?
I didn't think they were talking out. Like I didn't hear them talk at all.
Oh,
And they were
I
just like.
was all up in there.
And we were. Their booth was right across from ours, so there was just that little gap where the waiters, run through, and then it was them. They were, instead of like in the booth, they were like at the edge of the booth. Like they were like all the way over here. Like they have all this table space, but they're like here, both of them.
They're falling over.
Towards the
like
aisle.
they were elbowing the waiters as they passed by, and I don't know, I thought they were like a couple, and so they were maybe taking a break from the kids or something, but they looked kind of tense, like they had something on their mind, and they were like thinking about something really hard, and I was just like, well, I'm not gonna judge them, like they're probably just trying to take a break, but maybe it's such a big deal, like stuck in their brain that they can't, relax or something, because they look like, here I am eating. Yeah, they were very...
They weren't talking from but your head's in the way, and so is your voice.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
so
yeah.
She was talking a
Vanessa
lot.
was sitting on my left, and then I was sitting on the right. So I was sitting on the edge of the booth. So.
But I realized
Yeah.
they weren't talking loud or at all. because I remember as we were talking, I looked around and I was like, maybe we're being too loud. You know, these people were beside us. It's almost like they're eavesdropping on our conversation.
Yeah.
But I was eavesdropping on their conversation. They were having such a casual conversation. But then there came this one point where they had ordered their coffees. And then the male that was sitting there, he asked the waiter, which was our waiter as well. And shout out to Emilio because he was the best waiter
Such
ever.
a good waiter.
So sweet, so young.
Yeah.
He looked innocent. Very kind.
So they both got their coffees. And mind you, okay, by this point, they have each of them has about 3 or 4 different glasses of alcoholic drinks. And then they got their coffee. And then they have a cheesecake with them. So I was like, wow.
There was like a wine glass. There was a shot glass. There was a beer. There was a margarita. There was 2 other empty glasses, maybe with water, maybe with something else. We don't know. Their coffees, and then the cake.
Yeah. So at this point, they were drinking their coffee.
I don't remember all that.
We're hungry.
And then he asked the waiter, what kind of coffee is this? The waiter answered him, Emilio answered him. And then so the guy asked if they could get a specific kind of coffee bean in there, or if they could get just more shots of espresso in their coffee. So then Emilio, being the great waiter that he was like, you know what? I don't know if we have that kind of coffee, but let me go check. So then he walked to the back. I overheard him ask I don't know who it was, the mystery man who makes coffee at Olive Garden. And then he came back to the man with an answer about coffee. I would say like about 5 to 10 minutes later, he asked Emilio about the coffee again. Right when he turned into that hallway and he disappeared, our waiter disappeared, both the man and the woman, what did they do? They just darted. They took off, and I saw her from the corner of my eye. Like, you know, whenever a woman just grabs her bag and darts at the same time, you know she's going somewhere. I immediately looked at Junior and I was like, did they just leave? And then he didn't answer. He had this blank, he was just like, and there you go. That's what I got.
You looked at me when he didn't react.
Oh.
And you said, did they not pay? And I was like, go.
Oh. And then there I go.
Yeah, she stood up and she was like, should I follow them? And then you said you said, should I take a picture of their license plate?
I was like, should I go take a picture of their license plate? And then I looked at my mom, and she had no reaction as well. So the only one who was like alert was Vanessa. So why does your neck look so long? Oh my god! So then I darted after them, and I could see them as they were taking off, and then I went, and you kind of have to turn a little bit to get to the doors that get you outside of the building. And by the time I turned a little bit to get to those doors, whenever somebody walks out the doors in front of you and the doors are still kind of closing because they just walked out of there, like the doors weren't still closing, they were already shut. And I looked outside and there was nobody there. Like, there was no sight of them. I'm contemplating if they even existed at that point. They just disappeared. I was gonna go out the doors and follow them, but okay, that sounds really weird now. And record them, either like just their bodies or the car that they were driving in. But before I got to the door, I was kind of like, I don't know how dangerous they are. I don't know if they're armed, and I don't want to risk my life just because they didn't pay for food. I told the hostess, I was like, did that couple just leave? And she looked at me, she was like, yeah. And I was like, they didn't pay. And she was like, oh. And by that point, there was nothing else I could do. I had a little bit of hope that she was gonna run after them, but she didn't. So I was like, oh, great. We both walked back to our booth, and that was like the walk of shame for me. I felt like there was nothing I could do for our waiter because he was such a good waiter.
Meanwhile, when Angelica went over there, I also got up, and I was gonna tell the waiter, and I saw a bartender instead, and I was like, I don't think the couple next to us paid. And he's like, okay, thank you. And he looked like he was about to run after them. The hostess and my guy had a manager come and look at the booth. I don't know what that was gonna do. Emilio came too, and
he was so upset. Like, what did you overhear him say?
It was a waste of my effing time.
And I could imagine, like, if you order that many drinks And alcoholic drinks, like, you're gonna enjoy them. You're gonna sit there and have a good time. And their ticket there was a pretty hefty ticket.
Yeah.
It was $120.
$120. I checked it because I wanted to like just make sure. Maybe they paid and then they're just like, I don't know, they like running out of restaurants to burn out the calories that they just ate or something.
You know, now that I think about it, we didn't even double check. I just
Yeah,
went
we
to the
didn't.
lady and I was like, they didn't pay.
We checked. Olive Garden has those little TV things that you like pay through, and so it has your order there. I grabbed theirs, which, I mean, they left, so like,
Normal.
come on. So I grabbed it and I was just looking at it and I hit pay, and it showed their order, and there was like a lot of drinks and everything just collected to a little bit over $120 and some change. We felt bad for the waiter because he was upset. You know, somebody else could have sat at that table. He could have gotten a tip. You know, the store is losing money or the restaurant's losing money, and so we felt bad about it, and we were trying to think of ways to kind of make it up.
He kind of disappeared for a little bit. I don't know, recollect himself, I guess. And the first thing he said whenever he came back, he was like, "Do you guys need anything? Is everything okay?" And I was like, "Are you okay?" I told him I was gonna run after them and kind of chew their heads off, and he was like, "That makes me feel better." And I was like, "Okay, you're welcome."
So we decided we each paid for something and then we each tipped them a certain amount.
Yeah, so the tip that he got from our table alone was more than what he would have gotten with the tip from their table and the normal tip from our table put together. And after that, he still gave us some chocolates and to-go drinks.
A whole, like,
Yeah.
he was like, "Here's some chocolates." Like,
He was like, "Here's my heart. Take it." And I was like, "Give it to
so
me."
we ate it up.
That was really
I
sad.
ate all those mints before we walked out the door.
He was like, "Oh yeah, that's very unfortunate, Emilio. Sorry about that."
Sorry that happened to you.
I felt like I had lost and like my heart was going really fast, and I just felt bad that they didn't have a system. Like when these kinds of things happens, like there's nothing else you can do. You just have to let them go. So I don't know. You can see the manager and everybody. They're kind of just like there was nothing they could do. So that's why I felt kind of bad. But I immediately felt better. Like once we all had tipped him and gave him a pretty great tip. You know, you feel better once you actually take action instead of just thinking, "Oh, it would be nice if." But once you actually do that kind gesture, that's when you start feeling better about the whole situation. And that's when my adrenaline went back down. I was like, you know what? I don't feel as bad. So that was my takeaway.
Just be aware, pretty much, so that if you have to act, you're already up to date on everything.
And me, I'm a very observant person. So there's times where I'm sitting on just the bus at school and I'm very observant of the person sitting next to me or whatever, even in a classroom. So if something were to happen, I can give a description. But I was observant of them as well, like I naturally am. But the things that I observed were not valuable things. Like I looked at the kinds of shoes that they had on. But if I were to have to give a police description, like the shoes, that's not gonna... And so if you're gonna be observant of some valuable information like tattoos or I don't know, certain things like that.
Our police description was in the beginning of this, where we said, "Lady with brown hair, man bald."
Yeah, that's it.
That's all we got.
So it could be me for all.
Yeah. Well, in hindsight, there was a lot of signs. If you do get those feelings, just like act on them. You know, you don't have to go up to them and be like, "Hey, you guys are making me feel weird," but just like
pay for your food right now.
Yeah, like get a quick glance of them and be like, "Okay, that's what they look like." You know, just be mindful of what's going on. That way, you know, if they do skip out on a check or they do whatever, you know who they are, or you can react a little bit faster, because I think we all walked away feeling kind of like upset that we weren't able to go as far as, you know, bringing them back and making them pay for what they bought or pay for what they were supposed to pay for. We were also thinking about like how the waiter is gonna feel. You know, it's common for a waiter to probably be like, "That's my fault, I should have been paying attention." That feeling of me feeling bad for the waiter started to go away once we started giving him that extra tip, because I think that would be a sign for him to be like, "Oh, well, they understand, it's not really my fault," you know.
Yeah, there's gonna be horrible people out there, but then there's also gonna be some great people out there. So I don't know, I felt like we kind of made up for it, but
we didn't pay for the ticket.
Yeah, no, sorry, Olive Garden.
Olive Garden, you're gonna have to pay the $120, but like, We made the waiter feel a little less
Yeah.
garbagey about, the whole that was a waste of my time kind of goes away because we gave him that extra tip that he would have gotten plus some. Now just Olive Garden has to pay for the $120.
Which I mean is
they'll be
probably they'll be fine. They won't go out of business or anything.
Go to Olive Garden if you see this video, and then they'll make that extra money. Go ahead.
Yeah, and go to that specific Olive Garden
And ask for Emilio.
Emilio. Oh, he was
Emilio.
so great. Oh, I hope he watches this video. Emilio, if you ever watch it, you were great. The end. Yeah.
Good job, Emilio.
It's still.
Oh, and he got her. He got you the drink without asking.
Yeah, so after all of this had happened, he came up to us and he was like, do you guys need anything else? And we're like, no, we don't need anything else. It's okay. And everybody asked for a to-go drink, and I didn't want to ask for my peach tea to-go drink because I didn't want to inconvenience him anymore. But all of them did. They were just like, oh, actually, can I get it? So then he came back with 4 drinks in his hands, and then he gave me a peach tea without me even asking for it. He's perfect. He was a great, great person.
And then he said, thank you guys for spending time with me.
Yeah.
What?
We were like...
It wasn't like, thank you for coming, like what everybody else says. Like, he spent time with us, which is true.
And it was so genuine. Thank you. It's almost like...
He invited us over.
It's almost like he needed it.
It's like he knew that we felt for him.
Yeah.
And just that connection, he was like, I could feel the pat on the back. It's going to be okay. Thank you for spending time with me.
I was like, dude, thank you for spending time with me. If only all Olive Garden waiters can be like that.
If only all Olive Garden.
All Olive Garden.
I think maybe I should have gotten something else than the calamari.
You regret his food?
Do you see how she is? Food.
I think I should have done a double lasagna frita.
Lasagna Frita is good if y'all haven't tried it.
Which
try
one
it.
were
It's
those? The
I love
chips?
cheese sticks.
They look like... No, the...
Oh, the chips?
They look
No,
like little
next
bricks.
Little bricks, fried bread sticks. Oh, cheese sticks, yeah. No, they're not cheese sticks. It's lasagna, fried lasagna. No. Well, yeah. They have like fried pasta, they have like fried cheese, and then they have lasagna frita. I ate that so fast, I know it's pasta. Yeah, fried lasagna. I was like, cheese!
Emilio, we'll appreciate you. Thank y'all for joining.
Thank you for spending time with us.
I'm gonna say that every time now.
Oh.
I think I'm gonna name my son Emilio.
Oh, Emilio.
He's starting
You
a-
just started a whole thing.
Thank you for spending time with us today. She looks like Sid from I Say No, Rango. Okay, well that's enough. Thank you so much. Just wanted to sit down and talk to you guys about Olive Garden. Thank you for spending time with us.
Bye.
Say bye in Korean.
Annyeong.
Oh.
I don't know.
I thought it was going to be a lot longer.
I'm not too sure if that's how you say it.
Annyeong.
Annyeong. That's probably hello. That's probably hello.
He's probably like, F you. Okay, toodles. Money. Money. Money.
You can hear
Nothing.
my eyes shaking. Did you hear that? It was like...